You walked past a wealthy person today, and you probably did not notice. They did not look rich. They did not act rich. But the way they thought about money was almost a different language. And once you learn that language, you start to see it everywhere. Two people can earn the exact same salary. They can work the same hours, live in the same city, and shop at the same stores. Yet 10 years later, one of them owns assets and the other owns debt. Same income, completely different outcome. Why does that happen? The answer is not luck. It is not some secret stock tip. It is a set of invisible rules. Rules that wealthy people learn early, often without even realizing they learned them. And once you see these rules, you cannot unsee them. Start with the first rule. Wealthy people think in assets, not income. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out. That sounds simple, but most people spend their entire lives buying liabilities and calling them rewards. Think about the new car, the bigger house, the upgraded phone every year. Each one feels like progress. Each one feels earned. But each one is quietly draining money, not creating it. Robert Kiyosaki built an entire philosophy around this single distinction, and it remains one of the most repeated ideas in personal finance for a reason. It is simple, and simple ideas are the ones people actually use. Here is where it gets interesting. Wealthy people are not smarter. Daniel Kahneman, the psychologist who won a Nobel Prize for his work on decision-making, spent decades proving that everyone, regardless of intelligence, is vulnerable to the same mental shortcuts. The difference is not raw intelligence. The difference is awareness. Kahneman showed that humans feel the pain of losing money roughly twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. That single bias shapes almost every financial decision you make. It is why you panic sell during a market dip. It is why you avoid checking your bank balance after a hard week. Your brain is not broken. It is just running ancient software in a modern financial world. Wealthy people do not escape this bias. They just build systems around it. That is the second invisible rule. Automate before you feel anything. When money moves into savings or investments before you ever see it, your brain never gets the chance to talk you out of it. Richard Thaler, another Nobel-winning economist, studied this exact behavior. He found that people who automated their savings ended up with dramatically more wealth than people who relied on willpower alone. Not because they were more disciplined, because they removed the decision entirely. Think about that for a moment. The wealthy are not winning a daily battle against temptation. They are simply not fighting that battle in the first place. Now, picture two people. Call them Person A and Person B. Both earn $70,000 a year. Person A gets paid, spends on rent, food, entertainment, and whatever is left, if anything, goes into savings. Person B gets paid, and before the money even reaches their main account, a portion is automatically moved into investments. They live on the rest. A year later, the difference is small. 5 years later, it is noticeable. 10 years later, Person B has a portfolio quietly compounding in the background. Compound interest sounds complicated. It simply means your money can start creating more money over time. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in modern history, has said for decades that the real engine behind his wealth was not picking perfect stocks. It was time. Decades of patient, unspectacular growth. That is the third invisible rule. Wealthy people respect time more than they respect speed. Most people want results immediately. They want the fast win, the lucky trade, the overnight breakthrough. But Peter Lynch, the legendary fund manager, often pointed out that the biggest mistake everyday investors make is not a bad stock pick. It is impatience, selling too early, jumping between strategies, chasing whatever feels exciting this month. Have you ever bought something on impulse and felt amazing for an hour, only to feel a quiet regret later that night? That feeling has a name. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation. The thrill of a purchase fades almost as fast as it appears, but the financial consequence does not fade nearly as quickly. Companies understand this better than almost anyone. Every notification, every limited time offer, every one-click checkout button is engineered around that exact gap between impulse and regret. Your spending is not random. It is, in many cases, predictable. And predictable behavior is profitable behavior, just usually not for you. So here is the fourth invisible rule. Wealthy people create friction between themselves and spending while removing friction between themselves and saving. That might mean leaving a credit card at home. It might mean waiting 24 hours before any non-essential purchase. It might mean simply not having the shopping app installed on their phone. Small obstacles. But small obstacles change behavior more than most people expect. Now think about inflation for a moment. Inflation is not just prices going up. It means every dollar slowly loses buying power. Milton Friedman, one of the most influential economists of the 20th century, spent much of his career studying exactly how this erosion happens, quietly, year after year, almost unnoticed. This is why simply saving money is not the same as building wealth. A dollar sitting still today buys less 5 years from now. Wealthy people are not necessarily trying to get rich quickly. Many are simply trying not to lose value slowly. That distinction changes everything about how they treat their money. Here is a question worth sitting with. If you stopped working tomorrow, how long could your current assets support you? For most people, the honest answer is uncomfortable. For people who understand these invisible rules, the answer is often surprisingly long, even if their income was never especially high. That is because wealth is not about how much you earn. It is about the gap between what you earn and what you keep, and what you do with what you keep. Robert Shiller, the economist known for his research on financial psychology and market behavior, has argued that human emotion, not raw numbers, drives most financial outcomes. Fear during downturns, euphoria during booms. Most people buy high because everyone else is buying. Most people sell low because everyone else is panicking. The wealthy are not immune to those emotions. They have simply learned to notice them before acting on them. Adam Smith wrote about self-interest as the invisible hand guiding markets centuries ago. But there is a quieter, more personal invisible hand at work too. The one guiding your own daily decisions, often without your permission. Every swipe of a card, every scroll past an ad, every comparison to what someone else seems to have. The truth is, none of these rules are secret in the way people imagine. There is no hidden formula locked away from ordinary people. The information has always been available. What separates outcomes is not access to information. It is the quiet, repeated application of a few simple principles, applied consistently, over years that feel uneventful while they are happening. Buy assets before liabilities. Automate the decisions willpower cannot be trusted with. Respect time more than speed. Build friction against spending and remove friction from saving. None of these sound exciting. None of these make for a dramatic headline, and that might be exactly why most people overlook them. So the next time you walk past someone who seems unremarkable, dressed plainly, driving an ordinary car, remember this. Wealth rarely announces itself. It is usually quiet, patient, and built on rules that were never actually hidden. You just had to be paying attention. And now, you are.